I can sum up forest ownership in a single word. That's stewardship.
Well, forest owner, I mean, being a forest owner, you could really get into a philosophical conversation, I think, about it.
There's great satisfaction to me to be a forest landowner. And it's hard to describe and it's hard to share, but it's very powerful to me, the satisfaction that I have being a forest landowner. And I'm very thankful and I'm very humbled and I'm very grateful that I've had the opportunity to do it.
Well, I grew up in Seattle as working as a civil engineer, and I also grew up hunting and spending a lot of time in the woods and the backcountry, and it was during a lot of those trips, multi-day trips into the backcountry and the forest lands, that I realized there was something unique and special happening, that I didn't get in my other parts of life, and it was that connection to the land, and waking up my senses and intuition and awareness, and being able to be out there in the context of hunting, being able to be out there on my own and just without any road signs or paths, and find my own way. And I just felt like I was becoming part of the bigger picture and part of the whole. And that made me want to, in turn, take care of the land I was a part of, because over time, I didn't, the difference between me and the land became less and less, and to a point where, now I feel like it's almost one and the same. And so what we're doing to the land, we're kind of doing to ourselves in some respects.
Our goals in managing this family forest have always been pretty clear to us. We want to manage it as a stewardship forest that is fully functioning at all levels of the forest from the ground up. That is, have healthy soils, healthy grasses, healthy flowers, shrubs, and trees. The whole gamut that comes together to make a functioning forest ecosystem.
I had the extremely good fortune to inherit the love of this property and wanting to see the stewardship continue from one generation to the next generation. I had my dad, Bob, teach me. I was at his elbow as he was teaching me about forests and wildlife habitat. And really, I can continue to do that stewardship, but for me personally, my biggest goal is to be that bridge to the next generation. As our generations all grow up and move away and don't have a connection to this place, I am most concerned about them losing the connection to this land and to this heritage. This is a legacy for me, but it also is easily lost if we don't have a succession plan in place.
We have a lot of specific objectives. One of our objectives is to grow big trees and to have a mature or climax forest. Now, the trees weren't big when we bought the forest, but that's our goal. And so to accomplish that, we've been, among other things, thinning our forest. We've had several small commercial thins and ongoing pre-commercial thinning to make sure our forest is well spaced and we have light and water to have fewer, older, healthier trees.
Another priority, I started an outdoor education program here 5 years ago called Human Nature Hunting, and we teach people how to get into hunting for the first time, big game hunting. And so another value of this place is the ability to take people out, introduce people to forest land and take them out on walks and show them different things, show them sign, and teach them how to track things and climb up over ridges and see different stands of timber and different habitat areas. And inevitably we talk about the kind of the restoration and the maintenance of that, and the work that goes into that, and kind of the long-term process of it.
So I think the assumption is that just because I'm the fourth generation and I had my own steward to follow around, that I would automatically know what each piece of land or stand characteristic, what the management would look like and how it should be treated. It took me a long time to be able to look at a stand of trees and understand where the break was between this stand and what it would need and the next stand and how that might be treated differently. And so my dad grew up here, and this has been his lifelong study, is understanding where the breaks are in habitat types, where the breaks are in tree species. We happen to be standing in a cedar grove, and cedar has certain characteristics for it to succeed, and it's different than it is if it were a pine stand or someplace where larch and pine predominate. And so it was really, for me, learning the real forestry part of land management. But also, as a small forest landowner, we also do what we consider stewardship. So it's not just a collection of trees to be managed. It's also understanding that I'm going to be impacting wildlife habitat, and I want to make sure that I'm providing wildlife habitat even though I'm changing wildlife habitat.
I suppose on some level, having a smaller scale private property situation, it's exciting and encouraging, and to have the opportunity to take the responsibility for the outcome of this place, the health of this place, and it comes down to what you're willing to put into it at the end of the day. But you can make decisions fairly quickly and move on things and put a plan together and implement it.
Well, I think if you have the opportunity and the interest in owning forest land, by all means do it. It will be the most rewarding thing as you spend time on your property and get to know your property and to come to listen to your forest and find your own spiritual reverence there. It's truly magical, and it's one of the rare opportunities that we have to own a piece of property. There are lots of countries around the world where private ownership doesn't happen. So if you can do it, I say do it. If you already own your property and you're thinking, maybe I should do some sort of stewardship activity, but what would that be? I would say connect in to the experts who can help you identify what those are. And I mentioned them before, but WSU Extension Forestry is a great foundational place to start. And then I also have helped mentor other landowners. And so that mentorship is really neighbor helping neighbor, and we do that through an organization that I belong to called the Washington Farm Forestry Association. And it's a statewide association, but we have local chapters that offer educational opportunities from field days to all-day classes, and again, that individual mentorship of one-on-one, just going out and walking through somebody's forest with them. If they don't know what they have, or what is this a diseased tree, or what happened to kill this tree, or what kind of tree should I have here, how do I do wildlife enhancement? And so connecting with your neighbors is a great way to also implement management over a larger area, especially if you want to manage for a particular wildlife species, because maybe your parcel isn't big enough to sustain a species, but maybe you and your neighbors can do stewardship together and provide better habitat.
We don't have low-intensity fires going through our forests like we historically did. So most forests are overstocked, not all, but most. So think very seriously about thinning your forest, and also think about trying to maximize the amount of diversity on your forest. The more diversity you have on your forest, the more wildlife species you're going to have, and the more benefits you can provide to the forest overall. And a lot of that can be managed through a plan if you think about it. So I would encourage landowners that already have land, that already own land, to just gather knowledge, get a plan, and go forth to implement it to try and improve, their forests. For people that don't have forest land but are interested in it, I would just tell them it's a very worthwhile and honorable goal to try and have a forest land. It's been wonderful for our family, provide a lot of benefits to us and a lot of benefits to the forest. So I just would encourage them to keep that goal in mind and work towards it. And I know when we were trying to buy forest land, if you don't already have it, it's a difficult thing to do. It's a difficult thing to get enough money, and it's a difficult thing to pick a forest. But as one person who mentored me said, if you're interested in having forest land, don't wait to buy land and wait.